Welcome back to Sprocket Man Designs, everybody. Hope you're all having a good day, night, morning, evening, afternoon, breakfast. Earlier today I realised that while I'd got the main part of this clock, or what will be a clock, welded together enough to spray quick for the boys to do their special magic, I hadn't actually done anything at all about how I was going to connect the clock face itself to this rim. To that end, what I'm using are some spokes which at the moment are way too long. Haven't actually measured them, but yeah, they're about 108mm long. I need them to be about a third of that length. Now, you might just think, oh yeah, sure, cut it down, tap a thread. Problem with doing that is I don't possess any taps or dies small enough to cut the exact thread for a spoke nipple to fit. What I do have is this wondrous little device. This is called a spoke roller. Now, the way this thing works, there are 3 heads here with a spoke thread impressed into it, and what you do, I'll demonstrate. So at the moment, hopefully you'll be able to see that there's about 10-15mm of thread. So what you do, you feed it in to the front of the roller there, and this is where it gets tedious. You basically just rotate this, and as you can see, the threads on here pick up the thread on the end of the spoke, and as you go along, might make a sound, I can feel a resistance now where it's onto the thicker part of the metal where there's currently no thread. There you go. And what's now happening is these are pressing or rolling the thread into it. What this means is it's just shunting the metal along. It's a less than 1mm depth, but it's enough for a spoke nipple to take purchase. Now what I'm going to have to do with all 8 of these is wind it on as far as the tool will allow me. Then I'll have to cut them down, smooth the end off, do it again, cut it down, do it again until I'm at the length I need. As you can imagine, this is going to be a rather tedious process, and as you get to the end, or as far as it will go before it hits the clamp there, you start winding it backwards. This is the easy part of the process because the hard part has been done. What I usually do once I get back to the start is run it up and down again to make sure the thread is clear. There's no reason it shouldn't be. The advantage of rolling a spoke as to cutting a thread onto it is you're not actually removing any material, so you're not weakening the spoke in any way, shape or form. Now, for my purposes building a clock face, that doesn't matter at all. You could quite happily cut the material away and it wouldn't affect it. If you were using this for a cycle wheel where you just needed a slightly shorter spoke or slightly longer thread, you don't want to be cutting material away because you're weakening quite an important part of a bicycle wheel. Because I'm not doing this spectacularly quickly, it doesn't build up any heat, so that doesn't change the temper of the metal. So once again, if I was using it on a bicycle wheel, it wouldn't affect the strength of the spoke. At this point in time I've already done 4. This is number 5, and I've got to be honest with you, it is tedious. But once I've done the last 3, I can then move on to cutting them down, start the process again until I can get them down to, I think my measurement was about 62mm. Yeah, 62mm. What I may do, because I haven't quite decided yet, is roll the threads to about that point, and then I might take it down to 65, and that will give me a little bit of wriggle room, whoops daisy, if I've under or overestimated. So hopefully there you can now see the difference. You can see the threads there compared to what it was like at the beginning. Hopefully, if I've got the angles right, yeah, you can see it there. So a slow process, as I've got to get it down to about this point, but hey, you know, I decided to build it this way, so I get to have the fun. What I'll do, so you don't have to sit through 3 more spokes of this, I'll pause, carry on with that, bring it back to show you where we're at, and take it from there. See you in a minute. I say that. Okay, so I'm still here, still rolling the threads in. Basically what I decided to do was clamp the rolling head there and just tighten up the adjuster nut. In doing that, it rolls the thread a little bit deeper, which means when you wind the spoke nipple on, it's that bit easier for that much longer, and who doesn't like an easy life? The one thing I did realise after I'd done that, and I was checking measurements and things, was I cannot remember, because the clock face isn't here at the moment, where I was planning on mounting it from at each particular point had a corresponding hole and what the exact measurement for each hole was going to be. So while the note I'd made of 62mm seemed like a good idea at the time, now I'm here doing this, what I've decided to do is, once I've got the clock face back, measure each individual one, roll it to length and cut it at exactly the right point, so each and every spoke will be quite literally custom rolled and cut so it fits only one part of the clock and can't be interchanged with any of the others. Not that I can imagine my intended recipient ever taking it to bits and messing about like that, but you know, you never know with teenagers. So what I'm going to do is finish off these last 2 spokes and then walk away from it until I've got the clock face back. Then I can offer them up, mark up each one at the point where I want it to be, and then with a bit of luck it'll all just fall together and I can be happy. Does mean you get to see a whole other process down the line a bit, but you never know. I might just show you the finished product and say this is what I've been messing about at, and it gets me out the house. So that was the penultimate one. So each time you tighten this up, it basically brings these heads closer together, so it just presses out more material and gives us a deeper thread, if you will, for the spoke nipple to go onto, and you're not fighting against the material that's left. once you've got that thread deep enough, you could just spin the spoke nipple up and down with zero effort. The reason I'm not going to take it back to that exact point, I'm going to leave a little bit extra in here, and in my head it makes sense. It'll just mean the two bind together and lock up. So to me it makes sense. Whether that makes sense in reality, I will find out the hard way, I guess. But that's part of the fun. And the Corn song is coming in my ears that I don't recognise. Oh yes, there we go. Yeah. ADIDAS. Only Corn could make a song out of that. I should know it, I've heard it often enough. Yeah, well. The reason you can't hear it, a long time ago I discovered that copyright rules meant, even though I'd bought and paid for all the music I have lurking within my phone, I'm not allowed to share it with you. Because apparently that's a copyright issue, and some accountant somewhere's not getting their money for sitting around doing nothing. Okay, so thanks for watching, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you had, well, you never know, you might have learned something you never knew. Please feel free to like and subscribe. Any suggestions, questions or comments, please feel free to leave them and I will reply. Maybe not straight away, but I always get there eventually. Until then, have a nice day, night, lunch. See you later, guys.